Welcome to Water Talk with Paul the Waterman, brought to you by Water Pros. Paul the Waterman is Colorado's expert on all things related to the water we use and drink in our homes. Have you ever thought about where your water actually comes from? Is it safe to drink? Is it harmful to my health, my skin, or my hair? Paul the Waterman knows water, and he has the answers. So get ready to talk to the Waterman yourself right now. Call in with your questions to talk with your host, Paul the Waterman.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paul the Waterman. Welcome to Water Talk. Well, we're free at last. I thought Monday was probably the best day that has ever occurred in the last 4 years, and I'm very grateful. I feel a sense of relief, and I'm ready, motivated, excited, and energized to talk to you about the problems of our water, and we have a lot of them. Phone number here, if you have questions, comments, concerns, call me at 303-477-5600. That's 303-477-5600. Luke will answer the phone, and you and I will get to chat and whatever questions concern regarding water filtration. So, I want to talk about the safety of our overall water. We've had a lot of issues, and I'm going to say this. I'm not so sure that water is safe for human consumption. I'm serious about that. We know we have a PFAS problem, a forever chemical issue. That's serious, it's scary, and it's been going on since the last 50 years. It's when it first tested positive in human blood. PFAS, as a recap, is a forever chemical. Forever chemical means that it's forever. It doesn't dissipate, doesn't break down, doesn't go away. And once it gets in our bodies, it stays in our bodies. And so we have the solution. There's definitely ways to treat the water to remove PFAS, but that's just one part of it. It's also, contaminating our farmland. PFAS builds up in your municipal septic system. And so, you go to a municipal septic plant, waste treatment plant is what they're called. And when they remove the sludge or the human waste, that's given away to farms. That's called a biosolid. And that's given away to farms for fertilizer. And right now, they don't test those biosolids or bio-waste for forever chemicals or PFAS. And so that's how farms get contaminated. We played clips the last couple of weeks regarding farms out east that were contaminated with PFAS, and they got the fertilizer. One farm purchased this fertilizer from Kentucky, or was giving fertilizer, from Kentucky. Again, waste treatment plants give this stuff away. Another concern we have, and I want to thank our researchers at Water Pros. We've got a great team, and they work really hard. And one of the contaminants is newly identified tap water aniline and its potential health risk. It is called chloronitromide aniline. Chloronitromide aniline is a chemical that forms during the disinfection process of tap water. Specifically, it forms when chloramines, a combination of chlorine and ammonia, react with organic and inorganic materials in water. While disinfection byproducts are well documented, chloronitromide aniline is a recent discovery. So, do you realize when they sanitize the water, it's poisoning the water? I mean, that's the truth of it. We talked about 3 disinfection byproducts before. One of them was bromate, bromate, bromate. The maximum contamination level goal for something like this, bromate, is 0. Potential health effects: long-term exposure, increased risk of cancer. The source of the contaminant is in drinking water. It's a byproduct of drinking water disinfection. That's why I say I don't think drinking water is safe for human consumption. And then with this new contaminant, now this is an unregulated contaminant with the EPA. And it says it's basically a combination of chlorine and ammonia. So what is chlorine and ammonia? It is chloramine. The Denver water has been using chloramine for a very long time. Starting in about 2015, other municipalities around the Denver area started adopting chloramine. And the reason why they do that is because it has a longer contact time. It stays in the water. So if you did straight chlorination as a disinfectant byproduct in water, chlorine by itself would dissipate because it's a gas. It would off-gas off the water. The chloramine stays. So what does that tell you? That means that there's bugs in the water, bacteria in the water, viruses in the water. But basically, I would say, bacteria that is becoming chlorine resistant, and it stays. So they need longer contact time, and thus they added chlorine and ammonia, or chloramine, and now we find that this has a concern because of unregistered contaminant called chloronitramide. I'm going to spell it. CHLORONITRAMIDE. And now, however, the chloramine, let's pick this up. Historically, chlorine has been used to treat municipal water, which we talked about. In most recent years, however, chloramine has also acted as a disinfectant primarily due to more stable nature, meaning it doesn't dissipate, doesn't go away. It is less likely than chlorine to degrade into potentially hazard and cancer-causing substances like trihalomethanes. Now, there's another one. Trihalomethanes mixed with organic material is a carcinogen in water. They call it total trihalomethanes. And it's something that the World Health Organization has been screaming about since the 1990s, that this is something that's unhealthy. It can cause, it's listed here, to cause liver and kidney or central nervous system problems, increased risk of cancer. It's a byproduct of drinking water disinfection. So how do you remove this from your water supply? Well, it all starts with water softening, because hard water will build up on any filtration system or any filtration media or any inline filter. But activated carbon is one way. Point of use for reverse osmosis is another. Activated carbon, you have to make sure that that filter is specifically designed for total chlorine or chloramine, because a carbon filter by itself, a generic-based carbon filter by itself, may remove the chlorine but not the ammonia. And my research states that you're better to have the chloramine together than the ammonia by itself. Once again, if you have any questions, I'd love to talk to you. Give me a call, and I'd love to hear also what everybody out there thought about the last couple of shows we've done regarding the information on PFAS. You can reach us at 303-477-5600. So historically, chlorine has been used to treat municipal water. In most recent years, however, chloramine has also acted as a disinfectant. Primarily due to more stable nature. As I said, it's less likely chlorine to degrade into potential hazards and cancer-causing substances like trihalomethanes. And then there's another one, haloacetic acids. It's also thought to protect longer against bacterial growth in pipes. So that's what I want to get to. So that's exactly what I was, just mentioning, that it's there to have a longer contact time to prevent bacterial growth in pipes. So that means that, clearly, I think it's safe to say that the bacteria was evolving and it was, having less of effect with strictly chlorination. And then that's why they switched to the chloramine by adding the chlorine and the ammonia. However, chloramine is also more corrosive than chlorine, and levels are more difficult to regulate. And despite their different chemical compounds, composition, stability, and byproducts, the safe levels established by the EPA are the same at 4 part per million. It seems arbitrary number, especially when we're still discovering new byproducts from this additive. So this is exactly a byproduct that's created by the chloramines. Again, this one is called chloronitromide, and forgive me if I'm butchering this name. But this information you can definitely find online in the government website. And you can also go to the National Primary Drinking Water and Regulations that's published by the EPA to also get more information. I definitely encourage everybody to think about what's in your water. And think about, when we talk about, the pharmaceuticals, that's the other aspect. Pharmaceuticals are absolutely in our water. So we have PFAS. We have disinfection, byproducts created by the sanitizing of our water. And now we also have pharmaceuticals, we have nanoplastics. And so I'm going to try to pronounce this one more time. Somebody help me out. And it's dichloroethane. I think that's the proper way to say it. So thank you, listener, for helping me. When you talk about water filters and water filtration, what you have to realize is that to get the most of these contaminants out is going to be contact time with the filter media. So when we're looking at the whole house, you don't want to interrupt the flow rates because you don't, you want to have enough water pressure to take a decent shower so you could, wash your clothes, wash your dishes. So that's where you want to think about setting up, the right filtration, whole house filtration system that doesn't impede water flow. So any kind of generic inline filter that you can go to the hardware store and buy, majority of those filters, they're only rated for 4 gallons per minute. That's right, 4 gallons per minute. So that means that your average shower is 3 gallons per minute. And then if you have, extra size water pressured shower heads, then you're going to take up every bit of the 3 gallons per minute, may not have enough. So at 4 gallons per minute, that doesn't really, leave you enough. So then you want to have a system, I say, that can handle, up to 10 to 12 gallons per minute for the whole house, which can be done. We have a system called the Echo Pro Max where we use KDF 55 and activated carbon, and the two medias marry well together, so that helps with the total chlorine content. So that's chlorine and ammonia plus the, PFAS or forever chemicals. And then we send it into a second chamber where the water hardness is removed. Then your point of use reverse osmosis, that's where you're going to get your nanofiltration, because the reverse osmosis membrane filters down to 0.001 micron. And something else I found interesting, at 4 part per million, what's the ideal level of chlorine that's in a swimming pool? You got, if you go to Walmart and you spend $800, $900, you got a 5,000 gallon, swimming pool. Ideally, you want between 0.5 to 1 part per million of chlorine content. But, there's neighborhoods that we've gone out and tested where their chlorine levels are over 3. And that by itself can create skin irritation, can dry skin, eczema. So hard water and total chlorine content definitely can, wreak havoc on the body and the skin and your hair. So, okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more great information.
Forever Chemicals in our water is now a part of our life. Forever Chemicals means that these chemicals don't break down. Call Water Pros for your free in-home evaluation of the concerns of forever chemicals and the ways to remove forever chemicals from your family's water supply. Call 303-862-5554 and request your free evaluation, or go to waterpros.net.
What's in your water? Are you concerned about drinking hormones, antibiotics, or dangerous chemicals? Paul the Waterman here from Water Pros. Don't wait to be sure your water is free from those contaminants. Have our professionals help with affordable solutions. Visit waterpros.net today.
The EPA is making changes in regulations for water safety because of elevated levels of lead, Gen X, and forever chemicals in water supplies. Locally owned and operated Water Pros has home treatment solutions ready to install today. Water Pros employs the latest technologies and an expertly trained staff to help you with hard water, lead in your water, and mitigating forever chemicals. Book your complimentary test and consultation now, waterpros.net.
KLZ 560, your home station.
Welcome back to Water Pros. Thank you for being here. So, almost 100 million people in the United States may be drinking water contaminated with unregulated chemicals. Now, this is alarming. These findings come from a new analysis of federal monitoring data that's conducted by researchers and published in the Journal of Environmental Health Perspectives. The study analyzed data from nearly 5,000 public water systems across the country. They found that 27% of these systems had detectable levels of at least one unregulated contaminant. The most pervasive of these chemicals is 1,4-dioxane. Now, I've talked about this before. 1,4-dioxane is colorless. It's also a flammable solvent, and it's found in 22% of the water systems. Other chemicals detected including a refrigerant, HCFC-22, and then a dichloroethane used in plastics production, which is part of the, PFAS family. I think when we think about our water quality, we have to really take I like the big picture of everything from the pharmaceutical contamination. So pharmaceuticals are absolutely in our water. Let's recap this real quick. So when your body takes a pharmaceutical and it expels it and we flush it down the toilet, it's a metabolite. Isn't it funny how these contaminants don't dissipate or disappear, and they can build up? So do we have hormones in the water? Absolutely. I remember years ago listening to a medical doctor talk about this, and he was joking about, how's your glass of estrogen taste? Or how's a glass of birth control taste? And then a while back, when Scott and I we did a show together, we had a gentleman on that was an engineer for water treatment, or for water systems. Basically, they designed reservoirs, and the water that was in the reservoir, they tested positive for every over-the-counter pharmaceutical. Every store-bought and over-the-counter pharmaceutical was testing positive in the water. So then let's go back to Castle Rock, where right now they're at 30 to 35% reusable water. And my concern is that these contaminants that we're talking about today and we talked about last week are going to build up in continuous buildup, where eventually it's going to affect more and more people. How do we know right now that some of the explosion numbers in cancer in young people today aren't due to our water? I mean, that's a serious question we should ask. The other thing that concerns me is, hormones, affecting young children, the development of our babies, drinking hormones in the water. That's an issue. There's been, documentation where, in certain areas, I think I want to say Maine, where young kids were, developing breasts due to the hormones in the water that they were drinking. I think if we take the approach of it's our responsibility to take care of the quality of our drinking water, water that we drink with, water that we cook with, I think we're going to be better off. If we wait, right now, nobody in the local news, and see that they think about this, the stories that we were bringing in the clips that we played, date back as far as 10 to 15 years. And I'm in the water treatment business, and it surprised me that I listen to mainstream media. I didn't hear any of these stories. I didn't hear anything about. You remember the lady that bought the farmland for Christmas? They wanted a Christmas tree farm, and her husband died of liver cancer, and then she paid the money to get tested, and she has thyroid disease. They had to remove portions of her thyroid, and she has one of the highest level numbers that they've tested of PFAS in her body. That's on record. Why wasn't that in the mainstream media? Why, if DuPont and 3M manufactured this forever chemical and they knew it was going to be an issue, and it started testing in human blood, they started seeing it test in human blood, show up in human blood back in the 1970s, over 50 years ago. So think about the level of contamination. That really scares me, to be quite frank, to think about the wide-scale contaminant of the PFAS and how many farms are severely contaminated to the point where they should be shut down. So the state of Maine shut down a dairy farm because of the milk testing positive for PFAS. And then he had to, basically, put down 80% of his herd. And then, we heard a story brought to us by News Nation where one farmer, was, cleaned up, their feed they were purchasing, made sure they purchased feed that had, tested negative for PFAS, bought, new milk cows, and they started from scratch. But my concern is the level of PFAS. Now, we did a story and we shared with you that there was a farm in Texas that had to be completely shut down because of PFAS contamination, and that was getting the biosolids. So human waste taking out of waste treatment plants, converted to fertilizer and giving to farms. So then that's another issue that we have to think about. What about all the contaminated human waste? What are we going to do with that? If we really open up our eyes and pay attention and start doing the testing, can you imagine what we would find? Maybe that's why they're not saying anything and they're not doing it, because it just would be, what would we do? Maybe I can't imagine. But I think we need to make, to the forefront and bring it to everybody's attention so we can get our best engineers and our best firms and get Elon Musk out to start developing a way to filter and decontaminate our grounds from PFAS. Because the EPA did a webinar last spring, early summer. And part of what the EPA stated that there's 3 main filter medias that could remove the PFAS contamination. Now, there's many chemicals that make up the PFAS family. And keep in mind, these Gen X contaminants are because of the PFAS. And they created the Gen X chemicals in lieu of PFAS contamination being discovered and being found to a cancer risk, a health risk, something that never breaks down. Teflon, Scotchgard, anything that's water resistant. Think about the firefighters and the firefighters that develop cancer based upon PFAS and their firefighting equipment, the coats that they wear, the clothing they wear. They wear the waterproof jacket, the waterproof pants, and the boots, all covered in PFAS. So back to, the EPA. So they stated activated carbon, aniline resin, and a point of use reverse osmosis can remove those contaminants. So we can treat it. And I think we have to be responsible and treat it at our individual home. And I think we need to think water filtration to be just as common as the hot water heater and as the furnace. It's just something to have. So when we started with PFAS, the recommended contamination level was, they said, 1 part per billion. Then they used the analogy of 1 drop of PFAS in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. That would represent 1 part per billion. So can you imagine that small amount? See, one of my favorite Christmas movies is It's a Wonderful Life. And you remember when that, who's that fella that talks about wanting George to invest in plastics? So when I heard it this year, I cringed. Because if you think about it, plastics are a part of everyday life. You know, I like, my wife calls it fake cheese, that Kraft cheese wrapped in plastic, right? I love that stuff. But then now, you know, this morning, I get these egg bites and, you know, cover them up with cheese, put it in the microwave, and then I'm thinking, okay, what's the, you know, PFAS residue in my cheese? And then every time I use a plastic product, I'm throwing it in the garbage knowing that that plastic isn't going to disintegrate, isn't going to decay. It's only going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's going to become microplastics and nanoplastics. Then, right, we got the, you know, the cellophane wrap, or the wrap that, you know, if we buy meat from, you know, from the meat counter at the grocery store, that's wrapped in plastic. There you go, PFAS contamination. So then you think about back in the day, how did things get delivered to us? And the shelf life wasn't very long, but everybody canned back then. It was canning. You canned beets and pickles, and I love pickled beets. How many people out there love pickled beets? Boy, that's really good. Peaches. Yeah, everything was canned. And then, right, it was dried beef. And so, do we go back to that time? Do we, you know, things were canned in a glass jar, and glass jars were recyclable, reusable. What was our garbage waste footprint? You know, another thing, if you think about this, a piece of steel will rust, corrode, and decay, disappear, before that plastic fork will. I mean, that's really something to think about. So, we have the plastic issue, which is nanoplastics and microplastics. And we know that's relevant all over bottled water. And then they say now the food wrapping with plastic can give us PFAS. Did you hear popcorn, microwavable popcorn had PFAS in the popcorn bag? So common sense being a dying commodity in today's world, I ask you this. How do we go about bringing this to the proper attention that's needed? I think we all need to email President Trump and say, hey, Mr. President, we have a problem here. We need an executive order that mandates that we, you know, start thinking right now off the cuff to how we get rid of PFAS and the farmland contamination that we have. Because, you know, not to sound silly, but how many billions of dollars generated in the medical industry on pharmaceuticals? And then we found out that some pharmaceuticals also have the PFAS element to it because they don't want it to break down, you know, in the body right away. So you take a medication and it's slowly dissolving, and then, you know, that could have a PFAS element in it. Again, I ask you, is water safe for human consumption? Let's take a quick break.
Forever chemicals, microplastics, pharmaceuticals, and total chlorine are real contaminants in our water. Clean water is essential for our everyday life. Water is the best flushing agent our bodies can use. We cook with water, we bathe in water, and we grow our food with water. Call Water Pros for your free in-home evaluation. Water Pros can educate you about the concerns of forever chemicals, microplastics, pharmaceuticals, and total chlorine and discuss ways to remove these contaminants from your family's water supply. Call 303-862-5554 and request your free evaluation, or go to waterpros.net to request your free in-home consultation. WaterPros is a family-owned, veteran-owned business dedicated to offering the best solutions to meet the needs of the water concerns we have today. Call 303-862-5554 today or www.waterpros.net.
What's in your water? Are you unknowingly drinking hormones, antibiotics, or dangerous chemicals? Paul the Waterman here from Water Pros. Now is the time to have our professionals help you with affordable solutions to be sure your water is free from those contaminants. Call Water Pros today and visit waterpros.net. Toxic chemicals and bacteria last forever in your water if untreated. It's a crucial time to think about the quality of your water to be sure it's safe for you and your family. Call Water Pros today or go to waterpros.net.
Colorado's residents are known for healthy lifestyles, outdoor living, and clean organic eating. 100% Colorado-owned and operated Water Pros provide affordable in-home water treatment options. Water Pros can help you with hard water, lead, and forever chemicals in your drinking water. Living organic means eating organic, and eating organic starts with clean water. Learn more about your water and schedule your free consultation today. Waterpros.net. Water Pros. Healthy water means a healthier you.
You're listening to AM 560, KLZ, your home station.
Welcome back to Water Talk. I'm Paul the Waterman. Okay, a lot of information, and we're already halfway through the show, and I want to get this because I think it's important. So we can treat this issue. We want to start with a whole house water softener to remove the hardness. Soft water is easier on the water filters. Our water filters will last longer and do the proper job that we expect it to. So then you do the water softener, and then we do a whole house filtration system, either an activated carbon system that's specifically designed to attack both the chlorine, the total chlorine, and then the forever chemicals. And then you want a point of use reverse osmosis drinking water filter system to attack the pharmaceuticals. And it has to be reverse osmosis because you need a really long contact time with the filter media to attack the pharmaceuticals in the water. So let's go over some regulated contaminants that are in our water. So nitrite is regulated. Fluoride is a regulated contaminant. This means the EPA regulates these kind of contaminants in a municipal water supply and has standards that the municipal water supply has to meet. Fluoride is something that's an additive, but here in Colorado, especially in well water, up in the foothills, it's natural. Did you know fluoride is naturally in our water here in Colorado? Sulfate is a regulated, chloride, bromate, we talked about bromate. And so, those six that we just mentioned are regulated by the EPA. The unregulated contaminants, perchlorate, that's from industrial process, including rocket fuel and fireworks, can interfere with thyroid function and disrupting iodine uptake. The regulation status is not federally regulated. How many people have that? You get so excited and get talking too fast that you just kind of mumble. Sorry about that. I'm going to spell this. THIOCYANATE. Another industrial discharge, agricultural runoff. It's not regulated. The effects can affect, again, thyroid function. So 1,4-dioxin is another. So those are just 4 unregulated contaminants, but how many more are out there? So 1,4-dioxin, that's something that's also found in your shampoo, body soaps. So if you get irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat in the shower, that's from 1,4-dioxin. Long-term exposure with this contaminant, again, is linked to liver and kidney damage. So everything that we read today regarding disinfection byproducts, the bromate, chlorite, and total trihalomethanes, everything in there is from byproduct of disinfecting your drinking water. So that means it's something that's used to prepare the drinking water so we can drink. That's why I say, is water safe for human consumption? And every one of those is an increased risk of cancer. And then trihalomethanes, which is, can also be absorbed. So every one of these can also be absorbed through the skin, and it can also be breathed in the steam when you take a nice hot shower. The problem with total chlorine content is because it doesn't dissipate, it actually will build up in your hot water heater. I have testing to prove that. We've gone to homes and we've done the total chlorine test. And most likely, most cases, it's 1 to 2 times greater, basically 2 times greater coming out of the hot water heater than what's coming actually out of the kitchen faucet. And so when that nice steam, we're breathing all that in. I would think about the water that you clean and bathe in, and then that water, that 1% of the water that you use for drinking and cooking. That 1%, I would definitely recommend the point of use reverse osmosis. That way, you're definitely helping with, especially we just got out of the holidays and then, it was really cold out. My wife made some wonderful chili. But wouldn't it be nice to use some reverse osmosis drinking water for your cooking and for soups? How many out there make homemade chili? Luke, you make chili? No? How many out there like making vegetable soup? Luke, you make vegetable? Yep, vegetable soup. That's good. Point of use reverse osmosis. Or definitely think about, now I was going to say think about bottled water, but I don't want to recommend that because of all the microplastics in bottled water. So I would definitely recommend a point of use reverse osmosis. So bear with me on this, and I appreciate your patience. It's going to be difficult for a municipality to design a system with longevity based upon the flow rates that are coming from it. So think about this big municipal water treatment as it gets the water and it's disinfecting the water as it's coming to your home, because that's what they're doing. So they're injecting the chloramine right as they're sending it out to you. But think about the size of the water main that's doing that. So think about how much water flow, water pressure is involved in that. So if you're going to treat the water beforehand, the filtration media system would have to be ginormous, unless they take these big holding tanks and they treat them at a lower flow rate to take its time to fill up those holding tanks and then worry about the distribution. That might be the best thing. Because if you're taking water coming from an 8-inch main, I don't see it. I can't imagine the size of the system and the cubic foot of filtration media it would take to be effective. And then the problem is water filtration media does not last forever. That's the problem. And then what would we do with all that tons and tons of exhausted filtration media filled with PFAs? Are we going to dump that, bury that in a landfill, or are we going to incinerate it? So it makes more sense if we treat it at a lower flow rate, filling up a giant big, holding tank. I think that makes more sense. So let's write that down as a great idea. And then as it comes to us, they add the disinfectant chloramine. Now, remember, as it goes to the waste treatment plant, it is also treated with bromate, chlorite. Trihalomethanes are created because of the disinfection of the chlorine itself, of the chloramine. So we basically have bromate and chlorite that is put into the water after the waste treatment plant. Or are they putting it in the water in lieu of pulling it out from the rivers, in lakes, and reservoirs? I would say They disinfect it before they dump it into those reservoirs. Total chlorine content, adding the ammonia for the longer contact time, and creating its own new carcinogen that's unregulated by the EPA, chloronitromide, part of the chlorine. So that means that not only do we get trihalomethanes, but we get chloronitromide in our drinking water. Carbon filters, effective way is important in addressing contaminants like the chloramide. While not much is known, and that's the key, not much is known. Same with 1,4-dioxin. So I think it's safe that we definitely want to use a point-of-use reverse osmosis drinking water filtration system. I think a water softener, step one, I would do the Echo Pro Max. That's a product that we offer. It's a multimedia system, KDF55 activated carbon resin. And then point-of-use reverse osmosis. Here's something to consider. As the more time goes by, how many more unregulated contaminants are we going to find out? This 1,4-dioxin has been around for a long period of time. Look how long PFAS were contaminating our water supply before the EPA stepped in and did anything about it. The EPA knew about the PFAS. Think about this. The EPA knew about the PFAS going back to 1998. If you want to email me a question, please feel free. Send an email to, I'm going to give you my personal email address. Everybody got a pen? Paul, Paul, DOWDING at waterpros.net. I'd love to answer any questions that you have. Again, that's Paul, PAUL.DOWDING at waterpros.net. You can give our office a call at 303-862-5554. Colleen is there right now answering the phone, and she will set an appointment, and we can either meet in person or we definitely can, meet over the phone and talk. I'd love to come out and do a free water test. The water test, basically, you need to know how hard the water is so we can properly set up the water softener, and it's the water softener that's absolutely necessary because all these filtration medias, especially the reverse osmosis. The reverse osmosis is not designed to operate in hard water. The reverse osmosis is nanofiltration. Remember what happened in the bottled water industry. The bottled water industry used commercial size reverse osmosis membranes, and what happened is that the membranes basically got smashed because of the hardness. But then the plastics that ran into the hardness got even smaller. And then in bottled water, they found nanoplastics and even part of the nylon fibers that are, are what the reverse osmosis membrane's made of. It amazes me that the quality of our drinking water wasn't more forefront, and we don't see it more news stories being done. And I think it's because of the fear factor. If we knew the truth, would it create all panic? But I think we should know the truth because, I think we deserve the right to make our own opinion, and that we should, we should recommend, they should say we recommend everybody treat the reverse osmosis. So DuPont had a settlement where, and I believe it was in North Carolina, they agreed to buy everybody a reverse osmosis system because of the PFAS contaminant. Remember in Ohio, that train derailment? Did everybody see that little YouTube video that J.D. Vance did? And he was out in the woods in a little stream, and he started taking a stick and he agitated the ground in that stream, and then all the chemicals that came out of the ground, the soil, the bottom of that stream. That's another thing. What are we doing to clean that up? So water dilutes, but just because it's diluted doesn't mean it's safe. And then back to my point on 1 part per billion, and now the EPA states it's 4 part per trillion. And then from 4 part per trillion to 0. Let's take our last break. We'll be right back.
I can't take it anymore. My hair feels like straw, my dishes are covered in spots, and my skin, it's so dry, it's like I'm molting.
Uh-oh, sounds like you've got hard water.
Hard water? What do you mean?
Hard water is water with high levels of calcium and magnesium. These minerals can build up in your pipes, slow down appliances, and, like you said, make your skin and hair dull and itchy. I bet you have soap scum too, right?
Oh man, how did you know?
Another telltale sign of hard water. But hey, don't stress, it's an easy fix.
Easy? Are you kidding? Anything to do with water is usually drawn out and expensive.
Not when you call Water Pros. They're Denver's go-to experts for water softening and filtration. They make the whole process simple, affordable, and tailored to your needs.
Really? But won't I have to deal with some big, clunky system?
Nope. Water Pros offers compact, efficient systems at competitive prices so more people can have access to soft, clean water. Say goodbye to crusty faucets, dry skin, and those annoying spots on your glasses.
Okay, now you've got my attention. How do I get started?
It's easy. Just call Water Pros at 303-862-5554 or visit waterpros.net. Paul and his friendly team will test your water for free and customize the perfect solution.
Free water testing and no more straw-like hair or spotty dishes? Sign me up.
That's the spirit. Trust me, Water Pros will have you loving your water in no time.
Water Pros, Denver's trusted water experts. Call 303-862-5554 or visit waterpros.net today.
Better water starts here.
If you have hard water, smelly water, or water that just tastes bad, improve the quality of your water with the professionals at Water Pros. Water is a precious resource that's a part of everyday life. Harmful cleaners, forever chemicals, microplastics, and pharmaceuticals end up in our water supply, and they don't just magically disappear. Water treatment should not cost tens of thousands of dollars or require long-term financing. For KLZ listeners, a complete Water Pros water treatment system start at only $31.95 installed. See why people are trusting the professionals with Water Pros. Water Pros is a family-owned and veteran-owned business dedicated to providing you the best in water treatment for less than the other guys. Go to waterpros.net today and request your free water test. Or call 303-862-5554. That's 303-862-5554. And ask for the KLZ Listener Special. $31.95 for a whole house water softener and point of use reverse osmosis.
This is KLZ 560, your home station.
Hey, welcome back to Water Talk. So if you go to waterpros.net and then you click blog, we have all this information that we're sharing with you, and it's amazing how much that we've learned in the last year. Like, for example, off our blog, if you go, I think it's the 5th story, we have an article that says PFAS detected in all 50 states. The presence of per and polyfluoric alkali substances, PFAS. I know I'm not the only one that has issues pronouncing big words, but I'm doing it over the air, and I'm exposing to the whole world my issue of pronouncing big words. Ugh. PFAS, a group of potentially harmful chemicals, has been detected in all 50 states here in the United States, according to data from the Environmental Work Group and Northeastern universities. PFAS chemicals are used in a variety of industrial and consumer products. So we talked about the nonstick cookware, food packing, firefighting foam. The chemicals are known to persist in the persistent environment and then the human body is potentially causing health problems such as cancer, thyroid disease, and a weakened immunity system. So this is something that I think it's worth repeating because I think we need to get this message to everybody. But more importantly, we really need to look in the mirror in this one. and accept the fact that, part of our health regimen, if you're going to spend the money on vitamins and vitamin supplements, wouldn't you agree that you would want the best water to take those vitamins and vitamin supplements with? If you're going to, detox from sugar, that's the newest thing, is detoxing from sugar. Oh boy, that's tough, isn't it? Detoxing from sugar. Luke, could you get rid of sugar? No, see, I'm telling you. Especially, during the holiday season with all the cookies and fudge, and it's just an impossibility. And no, trust me, I've tried them all. Sugar-free baked goods just do not taste the same. Okay, so if we're going to juice and, make, we did that too. And don't you think we need to use or should use reverse osmosis water? I think so. I wonder if we look at everything that's out there, and if it comes back that it's related, health concerns, cancer, kidney cancer, liver cancer, testicular cancer, colon cancer, lung cancer. Lung cancer, if lung cancer still, comes around, that surprises me, and I'm going to have to blame our water in this one because, we've done a really good job. Not many people smoke anymore. I really don't know anybody that smokes anymore. Luke, do you know anybody that smokes? Nobody smokes anymore. So you would, and we've done a really good job, So I think we should do the same as far as getting people to quit smoking. We should do the same as far as, thinking about drinking, quality water. Water quality. Water is life, isn't it? Without water, we don't have anything. Without water, we don't grow vegetables. Without water, thinking about this, and we don't survive. Our body is what percentage of our body is water? About 80%. But think of all the contamination that's going to occur in California that's going to affect our water supply because of all the asbestos, and those older homes that burnt down, asbestos issues. And the carcinogens from the building products and the drywall. And, did you guys realize that, the trim that they use, majority of it is compressed cardboard. It's not wood anymore. And boy, don't you make a mistake and think you're going to take some old trim, break it up and throw it in the fire. Oh, that is nasty stuff. No wonder you don't survive a house fire, if you're stuck inside because of the smoke, because that stuff will get you. But anyway, the contamination of our water supply. And why do I say that? Well, the contaminant that's in California gets in the water, evaporates, and it's in the rainwater and snow that's going to dump on us. Mark my words, someone's going to test the snow in the mountains, and they're going to say, oh, there's a contaminant from, California wildfires. Absolutely. Just like every major body, water that was tested and snow that was tested, has, microplastics. And then PFAS. It's all over. So we definitely have solutions. We definitely can, offer the right solution for you and your family. So I definitely recommend everybody chew the bubble gum on this. You definitely think about getting a point-of-use reverse osmosis system, even if you live out in the country. Now, the municipalities are supposed to publish basically a water quality report and give to us, and that's law, federal law, and they're supposed to be truthful about the contamination that's in the municipal water supply that they're providing to us, so then we can make up our own mind, decide if we want to use that water or if we want to treat the water. And so I really think we need to call our local water district and just encourage them to be 100% truthful on these contaminants, because we know they are there. And how do we know this? Well, we had communities like Denver and pretty much all of Adams County send letters to residents regarding the PFAS levels that they exceeded the EPA recommended. So that's something that we should all think about. Do your research on unregulated contaminants, 1,4-dioxin. Do your research on what happens with the total chlorine content, the chloramine that's in our water supply. Go to the National Primary Drinking Water Regulations and see for yourself. The disinfectant byproducts is 4 main contaminants, but they have, I'm going to guess, over 38 pages of contaminants that's found in water that's regulated by the EPA. That's actually found in our water supply. Trihalomethanes is something that's not new, but it's definitely a cancer-causing agent, and it's created by the byproduct of chlorine and organics. Now we have another byproduct that's created by the chloramine and organics that's in addition to the trihalomethanes. And then the PFAS that's detected in all 50 states. That to me, number one, PFAS contamination, because it affects the farmland. And if it's in all 50 states, I think it's safe to say it's also in the animals that we eat, from the pork chops to the chicken wings to the steak. We have PFAS contamination for sure. Well, listen, I want to thank you all for joining me. If you have any questions, please reach us at the office at 303-862-5554. God bless everybody.
Remember to reach out to Paul the Waterman with your questions and water filtration needs, and be sure to tune in to Water Talk Thursdays at 2 p.m. to talk with Paul. And for more information, find him on the programming page at klzradio.com.